We need that breaking news thing to start off these programs.
Oh, yeah.
Carrie, what time is it?
It is 5:15.
And we're a little bit late.
Yes.
And it's Friday Live.
Oh, yes. Friday Live.
Carrie, my biggest question for Carrie today was if she needed Red Bull to start.
Yeah, I'm a little...
You a little tired?
It's the weather.
Yeah, we got to get the sun out. Guys, it's been crappy. And I think one of the things that we, deal with crappy weather is we have to deal with crappy moods. And Carrie brought a crappy mood today.
I did.
Along with the weather.
I'm guilty.
But anyway, guys, it's a great Friday. And it's just, the world is crazy. And it's only going to get crazier. And it's like, I feel like, I don't know, about so many things now. We have elections coming up.
Yes.
We have the Realtor lawsuit coming up.
Yeah.
We have Armageddon. No, I'm only kidding. A meteor heading toward Earth. That's what I'm like waiting for next. We had an earthquake.
We did, yeah.
But it's been and we all kind of sit around and we think about like what it means for people in the industry, for just a lot of things. There's going to be so many changes, and but I'm going to get into some of the things that I think will likely happen. And obviously, this is a real estate based program, so we're going to keep it real estate based.
Yeah.
If anybody has a question, any of the platforms, especially like if we're looking up, it's Facebook. If we're looking down, it is TikTok. I don't know if we may start the process of getting banned again. But anyway, it's an interesting thing because the National Association of Realtors and the Department of Justice are still working out the details, and I believe it was delayed until August, about how this is supposed to look. And I'm going to tell you, folks, it's the more you get into it, the more there's some things that really have to you have to raise your eyebrows out, because what really happens when a system becomes inefficient is really the key now. And I think that's what we're going to be looking at, right? You have some questions regarding how the offers of compensation will work, what that may look like to the buyer, what it means for the potential of a seller, and you have a bunch of questions in regards to that. We're going to be dealing with those questions because I'm talking through 18 years, and I consider myself to be more on the technology end of things because I did run realestatesiny.com, which is a web-based real estate company.
Yes.
For a while, and I have a good handle on the technology end of the business, and I think that's really key to knowing where we go from here, as far as how that's going to shape, which I think it'll reshape again the industry, because it's going to mean a whole bunch of things for a whole bunch of people in a lot of different ways. Some good, some not so good, some not great for the sellers. But I think there's a question there. I don't know if you could see it.
No.
Okay. No, it's just asking me because you're getting the phone.
I can't even see that.
Yeah. Mics incoming. Yes, there are mics. Could you hear me? It's probably because on TikTok they're using the mic. We're not using mics for the TikTok.
No.
So you're probably hearing a little bit of a distance.
Yes.
My apologies for that. So, and maybe you're blocking the mic with the tape. Yeah, that could be it. So let me.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. No, it's not. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's the kind of operation we run here. But anyway,
Nice.
So guys, that I did not realize that. But in general, this audio usually comes in pretty good.
Yeah.
And if anybody has a problem with audio, please let me know. But it's going to be an interesting time. So let's see what's going to go. Something your voice is. I'm sorry, guys. So we're going to be bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So no, it was just a little.
Okay.
Yeah, we get questions on both platforms. Obviously, you have a question, but this is going to be talking about. We're talking about the MLS changes. It's the changes period.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have some questions you formulated. Let's get into those questions. We'll go over it step by step, one by one, what we think it's going to look like, what we think the role that obviously agencies will play in the sale of homes. Some people don't think we're worth anything, which is fine. And maybe to a certain degree that can be true.
Yeah.
But I mean, we are addressing this issue internally. And we've spent a great deal of time, especially in the last couple of months, working on infrastructure developments. Not that we had a weak one to begin with, because we run 2 websites, we run multiple platforms. We run 3 Facebook pages now.
I know.
3 total. We run, obviously, every social media gamut across the spectrum. And we'll get into what we're doing, but let's get into what you need to know. So go ahead.
So my first question is, what effects do you anticipate these changes might have on housing prices?
Okay, so this is a really interesting thing. The first thing that's really going to happen, which is there's gonna be a cost of inefficiency. All right, so I do think that I'm not so sure it's going to affect prices in the way, but there's what we call what the buyer agency does is create a circle of efficiency. So it's like a wheel, right? So the process moves in a wheel-like fashion. It doesn't go up, down, sideways, like how to find a house, right?
Yes.
How to get the appointment for the house, how to make the offer for the house, and then how to end up at the closing table. So as this process breaks down, without the buyer agency component, what's going to happen is, whether or not buyer agents are going to practice different, I'm going to presume off the bat by a law of just cost that the buyer agent is not, is going to have to arrange a fee schedule with the seller's agent somehow, to some degree. What that may look like, it can't be done on MLS, which is a whole challenge unto itself, because what we're going to look at, there's an assumption that MLSs across the country run on a wheel. Run on just wheels with no... in order for MLS to capture relevant data and get data, where I think some other companies are looking to get into that game, I don't know how that's going to increase cost, which is the corporatization of the legislation, which is, I think, there is some reason why this exists, because I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of questions about why, of all the things that's going on, obviously, in the world, that this is like the major issue that it's being done. So, to me, someone backed this. This lawsuit was backed up by some interest of some sort to try to achieve a certain goal. Things don't work like that this quickly. It's not that it was quick either, but I mean, that it had such a profound impact. It's like, why would you change the model of doing things unless you're trying to change things for some other interest? I don't know if that's the case right now, but I do think that the deep dive into this is going to reveal some things about why this lawsuit went as far as it did, because as far as it getting like cost savings, I don't think you're going to see that at all or much, and the inefficiency may even wind up costing even more. So I don't know. But repeating the question is how is the buyer's agent going to? Is it going to affect the housing prices?
Yes.
Not immediately. Not immediately, and I do think the market sets the price. It's the velocity in the market that's going to change. The speed at which the market moves, that's going to change. So if the speed of the market changes, even if there is prices to be had downward, without the system, and there's a lot of database resources out there, and everybody thinks that you could work off of a specific database. Housing, unfortunately, from a component of a personal standpoint, remains one of the higher relevant non-like database magic that people are just going to go into a database and find their house that they like and do the absolute greatest research on finding what they need. I don't believe that. I think a lot of things get missed, and we've proven that in a few studies that we did. Yeah. A lot of things. We've studied this. One of the things we've taken the time to study the behavior of buyers and what has to happen for sellers. We do have that. We have that data. So it's not going to affect prices right away, but it will affect a lot of other things, and it could affect prices moving forward because you're going to pay for inefficiency. The inefficiency of the market is going to, you can't take out the cylinders of an engine and say, oh, well, it's going to use less gas, but we're going to go further, but we're going to get there slower. It's the same thing. It's like moving pistons of an engine, right? You got a 6-cylinder, now you move to a 4-cylinder, and could you find efficiency in there? I don't know. Maybe there's a degree of efficiency that we met. I don't see how that happens on the structure of how we do things. But I just don't see, I don't see a really cause and effect benefit at this point that's going to change much in terms of the price of a house. Okay. I mean, I don't see it yet. That has to play out though. So right. We'll just go on to the other sections.
What challenges or implications might arise if new compensation rules for buyer's agent are enforced?
If they're enforced, if the new compensation is enforced?
Yes.
I mean, the legal, what legal challenges or implications? The legal challenges now, and there's room here because I do think that, like, I don't know how far you could go into a standard of practice because there's only so far you could go to change a practice. They're deeming it non-competitive. This is such, oh God, there were so many non-competitive, why wouldn't they go after, and say, okay, well, Apple is a conglomerate, let's change the way they structure the phone.
Yeah.
I don't understand, and this is why I have this debate. It's like, okay, you have this debate, and it's like you want to change the structure of how things are. It's really, I don't know how. I just don't know how this gets through because. And I know people, this is an idea that you're going to save money. I don't, at the end of the day, there's a lot of reasons why I don't believe that. There's a lot of reasons. I don't want to get into that right now, but this is a problem because the structural change, it's like we're waiting for instructions about how to proceed from a government entity about how we're compensated. And I don't see anybody doing that with the insurance companies. I mean, and it's like, where's the oversight on that stuff? And that's why, and this is why it puzzles me that we're here and talking about it, because it's like, and nobody, we don't live anymore in a world where things happen for no reason. And I'm kind of, there's. When they pull this apart, they're going to find out that there's got to be some type of other entity. It just doesn't make sense because it's not going to change a whole bunch except make people's lives a little bit more difficult. Not realtors' lives. I think sellers, buyers, they're going to be scattering about.
Yeah.
And maybe you're going to get to that question about how that may look, but we'll get into it. If you don't get to that question, I'm definitely going to answer it. But let's get to there. And I say that, we've answered that question.
Yeah. So my next question is, what does this mean for marketing properties in the future?
Okay, that's a good question. The marketing of properties, and this is some of the things that. First of all, we've concluded a few things, and this is where we deal with the public a lot, and there's a lot of misinformation and information about how people go about believing real estate works, and they think they understand the process. Oh well, if there's a buyer interested, they're going to find. We live in a globe of millions of square miles, and my thing is how far you could reach is really the key to what kind of offers you're going to wind up getting. And there's no doubt about it that, it's if you talk about FSBO, if FSBO didn't feel marketing was important, then they wouldn't list it on Zillow, right?
Yeah.
If marketing was important, they need an audience.
Yeah.
Right? So if you felt like real estate agents don't do anything, that's the question you need to ask. What kind of audience do they have? Because if it's Zillow, and you're using Zillow as the platform, what kind of audience? You're basically relying on the audience to sell the property. Let's call it for what it is. You are relying on an audience. So what that means uniquely to every single agency is what they do for an audience. What's the audience and what's the level of reach that you could achieve through creating an audience? Because if it didn't matter, you would just stick a sign in the driveway and you'd say on the front lawn and you say, I'm for sale by owner.
Yeah.
But you're acquiring an audience, so let's call it for what it is. You're acquiring an audience. So this is a question that you're going to have to start asking, because it's like, what kind of audience? Data, we've proven data time and time again that, and one of the things I'm very big into is data analytics and making sure that analytics match up with the potential buyers and not even so much to say we're going to see an individual property look a certain way, because we've seen time and time again that the structure and I'm going to say it right now, will outperform Zillow in many instances, because we'll get a for sale by owner who won't sell on Zillow.
Yeah.
And why won't they sell? Because they have an audience, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So if it didn't work there, why does it work now? And they're going to say, well, the MLS, not so much that either, because we've conducted certain things regarding how properties are positioned in the marketplace are going to be very detrimental to the actual percentage of list price you're going to get or not get. And I don't like a couple of things that I see out there right now is people suggesting they should keep their listing prices lower as a means of marketing. That's baloney. I see a lot in New Jersey, like, oh, we'll keep a low list price, we'll have multiple bids, and that's going to drive up the price to a degree. But why would you need to do that? If you don't if you could generate an audience, you don't need to do things like that. So let's stop with that type of belief system, because audience will drive traffic to your house. Yes, it has to be priced accordingly. Yes, it has to be done, But if you're not paying attention to the presentation in the marketplace, you're missing a key. And that's not, the funny thing is like, well, I get video. Yeah, but, Channel 9 does TV stations too. But nobody knows about it. And this is why if you don't create channels in the sense that, and that's one of the things, Kerry, because I bang on the door about this time and time again.
Yes.
The channels distribution networks that we run meet the demands of what a seller would need to do to sell. So part of the infrastructure of developing a reach is making sure we can target our audiences through channels that are routinely, not a Facebook page that someone has their cats on.
Yes.
Their dogs one day, and they're going to reach a target audience that's necessarily. And this is what I'm going to say. There's people preach this type of stuff out there that this is a way to do marketing, and it's not. It's not, because there's so many things and factors that go involved that, oh, well, I got 1,000 views. Well, is it the 1,000 views targeted, or are they just untargeted views to a random bunch of people? And this is the type of data analytics you have to do to say, oh, I'm meeting a target audience for the property.
Yeah.
And this is the thing between the good agencies and the bad ones are going to understand that when an agent comes in here with a listing, there is years of research and data that suggests that if we do A, B, C, and D, we'll reach our target audiences and in a necessary way. And this is going to be, if you're not looking at this with this new law into effect, there are a lot of agencies that haven't developed that part of the infrastructure, or to the degree that they need to. We're coming close to 1 million views a month.
Yeah.
On all our channels, 1 million. We're generating about 1 million views, close to it. For a little small part of the world, we actually could reach all over the world in a matter of minutes. You go to some of our YouTube channels, we're one of the largest.
Yeah.
And for a real estate company, locally, even maybe regionally. So YouTube is a big piece.
Yeah.
That's like, and it has a global reach. And the other, obviously multiple Facebook pages and all this stuff. I'm not going to get into every single one because we'll be here all day.
Yeah.
But we're approaching 1 million. We're probably about 900,000 now a month, and now we're almost at 1 million. We'll be 1 million. We'll be over 1 million by the end of this month.
Yeah.
Because one of the things we are preparing for is the new era of real estate, which is going to change drastically. And if you're an agent in the business, you better get to the realization that if the agencies are not working on digital infrastructure, and that's not something that happens overnight. I think I've worked on the digital infrastructure as part of a daily regimen for almost 14 years. So there's 14 years. We have we're approaching 3,000 videos on YouTube.
Yeah. Yes, you said the other day.
It's close to 3, just on YouTube. Across the spectrum, so these things are so the fact of the matter is that we've created a sense of longevity in our algorithms to say that we perform. And because in the back of my head, somewhere back here, as usual, I felt that this was going to be the change. We were the first ones to produce. When I was with realestateSINY.com, we were the first company to start home tours in 2011.
Wow.
2012 was the first home tour that we started. It was horrible. They were not good. They were great. What's funny is like everything else, you can go back on our YouTube channel and you probably see some of the old. But for what it was worth, it was
2011.
Yeah,
Definitely.
You can see some old drone footage.
Yeah.
Which we laugh about now, right? As a comparison, because it was so
shaky.
Yeah, it's like it was so ancient.
Yeah.
And it's like you could go, but the fact of the matter is that we've aged our systems to make sure that in the long run, when we do how these calculations formulate a strategy for distribution, we've got a good distribution network, and that's really key to understanding what's going to happen with a property once it gets to market. So it is amassed a huge audience. We do about 5 or 6 different video productions just for a single house.
Yeah, we make a lot of videos just for our house.
And most of them they attain more views per. None of them on more views, but across the spectrum than any single platform you're going to find. So we're achieving a result higher by saying, okay, we need to target our audiences. Let's meet our target audiences through optimization strategies, which we've been working on for years, and that's going to bring our clients more money because it's going to bring more interest.
Yeah.
That's why we list properties 50, 60, 70 miles away from us, because at the end of the day, they see the infrastructure we develop is absolutely astonishingly superior to anything that I feel at this given moment that's available. So, like I said, now we're coming close to 1 million people a month, and we'll be eclipsing that. Yeah. We're preparing for the next realm. We're well positioned for the changes, because I do think the one thing is dealing with the question. You have another question there about MLS, right?
Yes. So, these houses might not be available on MLS anymore correct? If it goes through?
That is the 60-foot. Yes, you're right. They might not be. You know something? This is the MLS is a repository. And that's the strangest thing about this whole process. It's a repository. So it retains information, and that information, how it's retained and used, is for the distribution to buyer's agents for the potential of compensation. And that's really the only purpose for MLS. The only purpose for MLS is to share, is to create a marketplace that's more efficient through the sharing of cooperation in brokering properties. That means if sellers aren't diligent, they might not wind up on an MLS period, or the MLS may not function. There'll be MLSs that won't even exist anymore, because you'll have people, if the purpose of the MLS is to provide compensation, you're removing the compensation part, there's almost, with a good deal of certainty, people are going to drop MLSs, and that means the data. Picture having to pick your front. This is what may happen, and maybe it's required, that needs to happen, is that you're going to have to go to every individual company website to find the house that you want.
Yeah.
That may happen, because because there's a general assumption, and there's an assumption too, that you have to use these platforms to market a property, and you can get an audience. Like I said, we achieve far more viewership on a single listing than Zillow does on a single listing, by far. It's not even close. There's no comparison. When you actually look side by side, we outperform any individual page from a marketing standpoint. So it's not, and waiting for slapping up a video on anywhere isn't going to change what the result is going to be. It may look snappy. You may think, oh well, I got a video. Distribution networks are going to be the key to facilitating, not just distribution networks and saying, oh, the listing is here. There's a nice picture. You better get to another level on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be, which is really what you're hiring. It's going to take out a lot of people who haven't spent any money developing infrastructure, because infrastructure is the key to the whole entire process. If I can say one thing, I do think that's probably the thing that's probably been left behind. Infrastructure development of, as a general rule of thumb for real estate agencies, has not been a priority. Recruiting's a priority.
Yeah. Not
developing infrastructure.
Yeah.
Which is, I see so much behind getting into that. I understand, they do recruiting and all, but, spend some time on infrastructure. That's really, if you really want your agents to perform, and this is the greatest part about it, is we had the first, in this market, we had the Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
Prodigy Real Estate, emblematic of our name,
had
the best performing real estate in the first year of their business. It's not an anomaly. That's because she's able to provide a level of service that exceeded people who are doing this business maybe for 15, 20 years. And that's what we call, in conjunction, is that a real estate agent, because of the infrastructure we operate on, could define themselves much better in the marketplace than their competitor. Because if that wasn't the case, you'd never expect a first-year agent to achieve, I believe it's 22 listings in the first year.
Yeah.
Based upon what you see your face doing quite often, which is developing that synergistic strategy. That's what should be happening. This is what agencies should be working on. Is taking somebody like that and building them up, then saying, oh well, someone's producing here, and then letting the pieces fall. Saying, oh, let's make a few calls, and maybe if we bring them over here, and they're going to make this kind of money for us. The difference is that business relationships are synergistic, not one-sided, or else it's just a tax. I'll call it for what it is. If you want to be taxed at a certain percentage, then that's fine. But if you want an improvement upon what you could rest your head on and say, well, I could outperform my competition because I could do my agency can do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. We'll go to P. Never mind A, B, C. So the biggest thing is that the infrastructure that you kind of want to manage and operate has to be of service to the client, to the agent, so the agent can perform at a higher level because of the support network of being able to provide a better service to the client. And that's what my key focus is. That was why we called the name. That's why I developed the name, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The name that was not developed because it sounded cool. That wasn't made up based on an ideal.
Yeah.
So the ideal was, and that's why we developed that name, if anybody really wants to know.
Yeah.
Is Prodigy is basically, what's a prodigy? A prodigy got the Rookie of the Year. And that should happen. In that order.
Yeah.
So it's, to me, that's the key. So why does that happen? And that's not a mystery of science. That's not a mystery. Yes, there are people, but if I said to you, how many people would you say in a market like this was able to attain? So this is the lowest available inventory market. And you said to me, well, the listings that they obtained, it's not like this is 2010. When there's 4,000 listings, there's 800. So based upon comparisons, you're looking at how they're performing, right? How they're performing as a whole. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's proof that it is, and that's not no shakes on the agent. The agent is active, basically follows along with the script, with the, I'm not scripting. Follows along with the program in a way that makes their clients see that there's a very vested interest in the sale of an important asset. So when they go out and they say, well, it's not just, we can reach an audience across the globe in minutes.
Yeah.
In seconds. We're doing that right now. And that's, you have to, this is the type of synergistic relationships that we kind of look at and and I think the practices of real estate need to improve upon how we deliver service to the clients, which I do agree with. This is going to change. You have to do this. You're going to have to change your service quotient. I don't believe, I hear too many things about the industry. The one thing I hear a lot about is how much I'm compensated for doing what I do. What's the cause and effect benefit of being with one place over another place? And if you can't define that really in any type of quantitative means, you have to question exactly what's going on. And I don't think, and this is why I think sellers get upset with things, and listen, we manage, right now we're managing a lot at once, but we manage thousands and thousands and thousands of data inputs across, we run an array of programs. And that's really key right now to making our agents relevant to their homeowner so they can perform and the homeowner can outperform the market. And that's the key here. Yeah. But with the missing of the MLS, I spent too much time on that. I ramble.
It's okay.
We may lose MLS.
Yeah.
It might be lost. I don't think that people, I don't even want to say if I think what I think is going on, because I don't want to get into conspiracies, but there's there are people who can exploit the weaknesses that this void can create. And I do think that when you look at it from that standpoint, there's going to be people who are going to look, and the reason for this lawsuit is not what's being pushed for a specific reason, that it's going to create a void, and who is going to fill the void is the $64,000 question. That's because you can't convince me that it's going to improve a seller's standing. It's not. And an individual website's not going to do that either. So I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. Individual website does not change with the same photo in 6 different places. That's absolutely benign baloney. And we've done studies that suggest that if you don't change the absolute perspectives of the specific audiences, Just like how a car commercial works. If you're going to sell a $60,000 car and your house can't get the same attention as a car would for, for maybe $1 million, then you need to be asking, why would $1 million house look like this and a car selling for $60,000 look like that?
Yeah.
Why is it? And that should be the question that should be answered. I've worked diligently on this because it was one of the things that I wouldn't even be in this business if it wasn't for the fact that I saw that as the blaring weakness overall. And, from just a technology standpoint, we're in a day and age that if you don't understand the big, and there are companies out there, and people will look at me and they'll say, oh, well, Anthony, you're trying to disrupt them. No, it's not. There's a lot of people bigger than me who see this. And what do you think? It's funny because when I did this, and I obviously ran a .com real estate company, so I have some familiarity with this. I was, the target. It was always, it was .com this, and it's a website, and everybody goes into this portal. It's proof and evidence that I have the ability to create these kind of networks, digital networks that actually have scale and scale out digital networks, which is something that it's been in practice for me since the early days of 2008. I mean, I remember when Zillow was just launching.
Yeah.
I remember saying to people, "Oh, this is the end." They were giving free accounts, and you could market your property for free and put the input data. You do it like an MLS, and it's free. And I said, guys, you're just fooling yourselves. I said, it's not free at all. I said, they're coming for everything.
Yeah.
And then all you need to do, it wasn't public at the time. This is, it's not a knock on them. They understood the business. I'm not going to knock. Listen, they understand what I understood, that things were going to change. We were going to adapt. My thing is that obviously being a publicly traded company, I can't go toe to toe with them, right? So you have to use different strategies. And one of the things is obviously there's other types of marketing other than just search engine optimization. I mean, there's app marketing and there's a whole bunch of things. But I don't think overall you have to be very plain Jane with people who are looking for a house. We've seen it. And operating multiple infrastructures is going to be key to moving forward. So, that's a lot to digest. Did I ramble enough? So what's the plan for the weekend, Kerry? It's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everybody.
Yes, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to my mom, to my mother-in-law, to your mom. Tell your
Happy
mother.
Mother's Day, Mom.
I'm reminding her.
No. So. I still gotta get her a gift, so.
You want to put that out live? Oh, no. Oh, no. But it is Mother's Day, and the year is going to be kicked off with a big bang. The change of the practice of real estate. But we're prepared. We're going to be prepared. We're staying prepared.
Yes, we are.
And I don't think, as far as we're concerned, most of our businesses, say we're about 85% listing based. So it's not, I'm not going to say it's not going to hurt, but it can be, there's mitigation. But stop paying attention, folks. Look at how's it going to be presented now. And even these portal sites like Zillow ain't going to cut it. And we've proven that. Yeah. I don't know how many houses we sold for sale by owner just in New Jersey over the Zillow market price. And there's no attention. So, and if you this is the funny thing is like if you eliminate that and you say, well, that's the only means of now advertising. And they say, okay, well, in order to advertise, they're going to charge you a fee on there to put the advertising. That's still not going to cut it. You can't manage that much. The problem always has been, I always say data management, even with AI, managing infrastructure like that is a very difficult task. So let's not let's not really go there with that, because it's marketing is a challenge. No matter what you're doing, marketing is a challenge, and it's not just as simple as you have to sit down and you have to look at how everything's presented to you, and at that point you'll know, am I getting the best result for my house? And if it doesn't look like it, if you can't see it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to tell you right now. Every presentation should be presented in a way that says what their efficiency level is and how they can deliver a result outside of MLS, because it's not going to work otherwise. We're really getting to a point now where if this is not part of the plan, you can lose money much more significantly than ever now. Much more. Because if it doesn't get seen, and if that was the case, if it was seen, then even Zillow, then we'd say every house that went on Zillow sold. It doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. And why, there's no interventions on like how pricing strategies work, how far they're off, what damage they're doing, if they put it on that way, a bunch of things. So you have to really look at it from that standpoint. But that's where we are.
Yes.
Any last minute notes? Next week is stats.
Stats for Staten Island.
Did you look at the stats yet? Is there
I
any
have not
preliminary?
taken a look at the stats yet, no.
Frozen market.
Yeah.
I don't think it's much is going to change there. But there's so much news. I won't even get the movie here until 7:30. But anyway, that's our report for the night on both channels. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, guys.
I see that really lifted our sanctions upstairs on the second one. It lifted us from that little...
Yeah, right.
Maybe.
I did notice that also.
But thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Next week we'll be doing the...
Style Live, yes.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
right, Carrie?
yes, we will. Can't wait.
All right, guys. Have a great Friday.
Yes.
Ciao.
Bye, guys.